Welcome to our daily reflection for this Thursday, July 3rd. And today is the feast of St. Thomas, the Apostle, who in the Gospel today misses out on Jesus' first appearance to the 12. When Jesus comes to the upper room and says, "Peace be with you," there's one apostle missing, besides Judas, of course, who has died, and that is Thomas. And we're told that Jesus comes through, the door is locked because they were afraid. And so you can see the rest of the 12 gather together in fear. Jesus had just been crucified, and so they know they're in trouble with the authorities, the Sanhedrin and the Jewish chief priests, and they probably think that they might be hunted down. And there's a deep sense of fear. And what I think is so striking, of course, is after Jesus appears to them and then disappears again, Thomas returns and they tell Thomas in their enthusiasm and excitement, "The Lord is risen." And rather than receiving that good news with joy, Thomas is upset and makes a declaration that he refuses to believe until he himself can see. Maybe Thomas feels jealous that he missed out on this and seeing this visitation of the risen Lord. And why did the Lord come when he was absent? And maybe Thomas is thinking, look, I was the one brave enough out of the group to leave the upper room and go get news and go get food and water, right? And he's the one who's courageous, who goes out, everyone else is huddled inside, and Jesus comes right at that moment, right? So no good deed goes unpunished, might be Thomas's supposition. And then, maybe in a bit of jealousy, maybe a bit of, bitterness about that, he makes his refusal to believe. And he doesn't heed the testimony of his brothers. And then, of course, the next Sunday, Jesus appears again, and Jesus tells Thomas, put your hands in my side and put your fingers in the nail marks, and no longer be unbelieving, but believe. Jesus wants us to believe. And of course, Thomas then gives a great profession of faith where he says, "My Lord and my God." Thomas has had a lot of time to think about this. And the fact that Jesus is risen from the dead and everything else about Jesus, this clearly shows that Jesus is more than a Messiah. He's more than human. He is the Son of God. He is divine. And so he says, "My Lord and my God," a beautiful and succinct profession of faith. You could say this is the first creed of the church, so to speak. And that's a beautiful thing. And then Jesus gives a great blessing. He says, "Do you believe because you have seen, Thomas? Blessed are those who haven't seen and believe." And that will be the case for most of us. We haven't seen the risen Lord, and yet we believe. We believe in the testimony and the witness of the apostles because they gave witness to Jesus being risen from the dead. And what did they gain by that? Imprisonment, maltreatment, and ultimately martyrdom and death. And so they didn't gain the things of this world because they believed in something bigger than this world, and that is that Jesus is risen from the dead and is seated at the right hand of God the Father. So today, let's pray for that faith, that it be strengthened, and that we too may believe, and we may say with Thomas, "My Lord and my God," to Jesus. God bless and keep you.
This daily reflection is brought to you thanks to the generous support of the Mission Circle. Join the Mission Circle to help Catholics worldwide understand, live, and share their faith. Sign up at missioncircle.org today.